What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. After Sound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel as well as on Twitch, so make sure you come by and say hello. This video is also brought to you by my music, which is available anywhere you stream music under the name After Sound, and I do have a new song out recently called Dreamin', so check it out. Let me know what you think, and I appreciate the support. Okay, guys, let's talk about land and specifically research, and I guess we can include SPS on here, although it's difficult to see, maybe even impossible to see, who is and who isn't going for SPS at this point in time. Now, I'm just on the Splinterlands website here, the land leaderboard rankings, and I'm looking at research, and the reason that I want to highlight this, and we kind of talked about it a little bit on a recent live stream, but when you look at the top accounts, right, I think this has like the top 100 accounts, what you're going to see here is that a lot of people who are huge landowners, land whales, have turned off research entirely, right? So you can see how much research people have, right? That's what the ranking is by. But then you can also see the per hour. And so you can just go down here. And I'm not trying to call anybody out specifically, right? But look at number 4, Jarvie is down to 0. SPS Whale, which I believe is Aggie, is down to 0 as well. And you can just go down the line with a lot of names or usernames or IGNs that you should know, right? Here's a bunch more, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the top 15 that have all turned off research. VC Dragon, right? So again, this is not, they're not doing anything wrong. What my point with this is, as we see SPS turned off, research turned off, and then of course SPS by extension also are just kind of associated, this is signifying one major thing right now. And it's obvious, but I just feel like it's worth calling out, and that's the fact that we're not actually utilizing all the resources. Now, this makes sense. Everybody is in a moment right now. Obviously, Land 1.75 hasn't even been out a week as of the recording of this video, but we know that people are out there and trying to figure out how to reconfigure their land to be self-sufficient in one of two ways, right? The first level is, can I just be self-sufficient with grain and other resources? And then if you can go a level beyond that, can I be self-sufficient with all the resources and going after SPS or research? Now, the thing is, SPS and research are fundamentally different in, well, a couple of ways. First, SPS is capped, right? And there's a cap in terms of the amount, well, just overall SPS capped, but there's a cap in terms of the amount that is available for the land pool, which means the more people that dip into it, the less of a share that they get. But research on the other side of this is interesting because it's not capped, right? So you can go for as much research as you possibly want. And this is probably the more important part, there is no like financial benefit, no direct financial benefit yet, and probably no direct financial benefit in the future, right? There might be indirect things as we potentially see stuff that pops up for research utilization for things within survival mode or Conclave Arcana, but again, that's maybe a couple of months down the road at the earliest. So in coming back to this, right, we are in an interesting situation right now where the only thing that should be coming down that's getting utilized is grain. And again, none of this is surprising. I'm just trying to like analyze it as we're going through and seeing this happen in real time, where the amount of grain out there is actually quite significant, but it should be dwindling, right? We significantly reduced it by 70%. Again, that's just a rough number, right? When you add in 3 new resources with all the different terrain types, like if people were going for grain, well, all of a sudden, again, just on average, that should have been reduced. So here's something that I want to share with you, and let's actually go over to Splinter Cards. And because I didn't realize that this existed, but now I'm just going to kind of put it out there on video so that we can always come back to it. But if you go to Land's leaderboard, and once again, shout out to Splinter Cards, but I don't know if this is, how updated this is, simply because you can see here it doesn't have all of the other resources. But for grain and research should be out there, right? For the they were for the last year and a half. And here's what I wanted to see. Here's what I've been looking for: the total Pretoria grain, which looks like 8.444 billion grain. And this gets updated every hour. So I'm going to start checking this because I literally just found it. So I will start checking it regularly to see how much that's coming down, or one, if it is coming down, how much it's coming down by, and when we can potentially get into a place of equilibrium. Now, I still think that it's hard to determine just how much grain is out there. I think a lot of people think that grain was inflated to the moon and that, this is going to last us for years and years. And you could be right. It's really difficult to tell. But until we get, and this is what going back to the first original point, until we get actual utility for research specifically, right? Because SPS, I don't know. I mean, yes, some people might go and if the pool gets large enough for SPS, right, meaning that people are not dipping into the SPS pool as much, you might get people that turn on SPS plots, which is great because then that utilizes all the resources. But research is the one that I really want to see take off, because at this point, we might have an issue with the amount of research that is out there and that has been inflated, right? It looks like there's about 382 million research tokens that currently exist. And until we figure out exactly what the team is doing with research, right? And my hope is that it remains a soulbound but burnable token, right? So that you'll be able to use it and utilize it for whatever the case is, right? Let's say they come out with revival potions, for example. It would be great if you had to burn research in order to create that. If it's just like, oh, you need to have a certain threshold, well, then someone like Vugtis and, the people at the top, I mean, they're not going to have to do research or search for research at any point in the future. They can essentially dominate the marketplace. It wouldn't be incentivizing for anybody else to try to catch up to them, right? Because it's like, okay, if I want to create revival potions and I need to get to, let's say, like 1 million research tokens, then sure, I can do that, but you already have somebody who is making way more of this stuff than I am. And again, what would the incentive be? So I think that we need to get more direction on where research is headed in the future. But as we consider where things are at right now, people are not doing research. They're not doing SPS, or at least not as much as they were before when it comes to research in SPS. Grain is really the only thing that's getting consumed as people figure out the configuration of their land. But again, that is just step one, the reconfiguration of, can I be self-sufficient with the 4 natural resources? What I would love to get to, and again, I'm not saying that we need to be there now. In fact, I think it's probably still very early, and it'll take some time for us to get there as people dive back into land, into their spreadsheets, and figure things out. And hopefully more incentives come out, right, for that for research in the near future, hopefully the next couple of months. But if we can get to that second level where it's like, okay, not only am I self-sufficient in my resources, but now I want to go and chase after research, or I want to go and chase after X, Y, and Z. And here's the thing. People don't even need to become self-sufficient in all of the resources. You can become a specialist, right? For myself, the most resources that I get are wood, because I have forests and jungles. So if I can find a way where it's like, okay, I want to go for research, or I want to go for SPS because the pool is large enough now, does it make sense from a financial perspective if going for SPS, or does it make sense from a game perspective going for research where I can just take all of the the wood and the grain that I'm able to get, sell that for the other resources, essentially be net neutral or even net positive in certain ways, and then try to attain research from a gaming perspective and SPS from a gaming / financial perspective, right? SPS is really the only reward between those two that has direct financial gain. But there's so many other ways to earn SPS right now, so I think that's why people have turned it off. We'll have to wait and see how this shapes up in the future. But, a week into land, I love the complexity. And now we have a place where we can check and track grain usage, as well as how much research might continue to inflate once people start turning that back on, if they do. But that's all I have for you guys in this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll catch you all in the next one and see you around the game. Take care.